You ever walk into a family gathering thinking nothing wild is going to happen, and then suddenly the moms, yes, the moms, drop the hottest, most chaotic, most brutally honest ranking you've ever heard in your life? That's pretty much what happened in this story. And trust me, this isn't some soft fairy tale intro where everything feels dreamy and poetic. Nope, this starts loud, unexpected, and very, very real. Because when a group of Korean moms were asked to rank every BTS member, everybody in the room thought they'd give safe, politically correct answers. You know, the typical, oh, they're all good boys, or I can't choose, they're all talented. But no, these moms came in like seasoned critics who had watched every variety show, every performance, every interview, every random V-Live from 2015 nobody even remembers. They had opinions, sharp ones, and they weren't afraid to say them out loud. The energy felt like someone had just pressed start on a very intense reality show panel. One mom even cracked her knuckles first, like she was about to judge Olympic athletes. Another adjusted her glasses dramatically. Someone else grabbed a notebook, as if she'd prepared research. And before anyone knew it, they were discussing work ethic, fashion choices, mannerisms, eye smiles, cooking skills, son-in-law potential, and even how likely each member is to remember to bring an umbrella before it rains. It became less ranking idols and more evaluating future husbands, best friends, and dream sons. And the wildest part? Their number one choice completely blindsided everyone. Like, nobody guessed it. Not the armies in the room, not the producers, not even the moms themselves until the discussion got deeper. But before we get to that shocking twist, let's ease into the list from the very bottom. And trust me, bottom doesn't mean bad here. It just means someone had to be number 7 in this mom-powered whirlwind of opinions. So buckle up, grab a snack, and let's get into the start of this unpredictable, hilarious, and surprisingly wholesome ranking journey. Number 7. The quiet charmer, but too mysterious. When the moms settled on number 7, it wasn't because they disliked him. Oh no. Every single one made it painfully clear that there are no bad boys in BTS. But collectively, they agreed this member has a certain mysterious aura that makes moms squint at him the way they do when they're trying to figure out why their rice cooker suddenly beeps at 3 a.m. The conversation kicked off with one mom saying, "He's handsome, yes. He's talented, yes, but I feel like if I asked him whether he already ate, he'd just smile softly and walk away holding a book." And that instantly set the tone. This ranking had become a whole personality evaluation. They talked about how he's the type who seems like he has 100 thoughts in his head, but only shares like 3 of them, and all 3 are wise enough to be carved on a temple wall. Another mom chimed in with, "You know the kind of kid who used to read under the desk during math class? That's him. Smart, quiet, but you don't know what dimension he lives in." Then suddenly they all started sharing story after story about their own sons who stay in their rooms for 5 hours and only come out to ask if there's kimchi left. "He gives that vibe," one mom declared proudly, as if being introverted was a badge of honor. But the moms also admitted there's something irresistibly gentle about him, like he's the calm in the middle of a chaotic family dinner. They imagined him sitting politely, answering every question with a soft, "Yes, ma'am," and then disappearing to pet the family dog. They said he feels like someone who brews tea at the exact perfect temperature without needing a thermometer. But here's where the moms made their final judgment. They all agreed he's too reserved. One mom even joked, "If I asked him to help carry groceries, he'd start philosophizing about the symbolism of onions instead." Another added, "He'd make a great son, but if my daughter married him, I'd constantly wonder what he's thinking." They also debated his fashion. "Too quiet but expensive," one mom described. "Like he doesn't try, but he still looks like someone who owns a minimalist art museum." They brought up his talents, his stable presence, his loyalty, and even the way he handles stress. They admired his calmness, but that calmness is exactly why he landed on number 7. "He's lovely," they concluded, "but maybe a little too peaceful for us." And with that, they locked his place, not out of criticism, but because the moms simply wanted someone they could read more easily. Someone they could yell, "Have you eaten?" at, and he'd actually answer instead of giving a poetic smile that launches 1,000 theories on Twitter. And so, the gentle, quiet, mesmerizingly mysterious member took the first spot on this list. Not as a loser, but as the mom-certified, "We adore him, but he confuses us a little" pick. Number 6. The chaotic sunshine, but too much energy. When the moms moved on to number 6, the entire room shifted from quiet confusion to full-on laughter, because this member, oh boy, triggered a level of mom instinct commentary that could fill an entire 3-season variety show. The moment his name came up, one mom shot her hand into the air like she was answering a question in elementary school and said, "I like him, but if he lived in my house, I'd never get a moment of silence." And just like that, the floodgates opened. They all started talking at once, the way moms do when they suddenly remember 20 things at the same time. Another mom leaned forward, eyes wide, and said, "He's that kid who wakes up before everyone else and starts dancing in the living room while I'm still trying to find my glasses." Immediately, everyone nodded because, yes, he radiates that hyperactive, sunshine all the time energy. They described him as the type who bursts into a room with a smile so bright that it feels like someone just switched on every light in the house, even though you were perfectly fine sitting in the dark. One mom laughed and said, "If he were my son, he'd be the reason I drink ginseng tea every morning, to prepare my soul." The funny thing is, none of this was said in a negative way. It was affectionate chaos. They admired his enthusiasm, the way moms admire gifted children who accidentally break things while trying to help. "He means well," another mom said, "but he probably moves too fast for the furniture." They talked about his confidence, how he acts like the world is a stage and he's responsible for keeping everyone entertained. One mom even compared him to her nephew, who once tried to hype up a funeral because he thought everyone looked sad. "Same energy," she declared, pointing dramatically. Then they got into his work ethic. The moms, surprisingly, had receipts. They knew he stays late to practice, how he pushes others to do their best, and how he always tries to lift the mood when things get heavy. "He's like a walking vitamin," one mom said. "Good for the heart, but maybe too strong if taken every day." They also discussed his smile, that iconic, powerful, megawatt smile that could probably convince someone to sign a gym membership they don't need. But then, one mom leaned in and whispered, "But doesn't he get tired?" And suddenly, they all imagined him collapsing into bed after a long day, still smiling, still throwing finger hearts, still radiating positivity even in his dreams. But despite all the admiration, the moms collectively felt that his energy level was simply too high for them to handle on a daily basis. "He'd be great to have around, but if he lived with us, I'd need earplugs and maybe a therapist." They imagined him showing up at family gatherings and instantly becoming the center of attention, telling jokes, dancing, laughing, hyping up grandparents, pets, babies, even houseplants. One mom said, "My daughter would never be sad with him around, but she also might never sleep." And then came the ultimate mom logic reasoning: durability. Can he stay calm for 10 minutes? Just 10? I need to know. Another mom shook her head. "I think he'd try, but then he'd suddenly remember a dance move and explode into the air." Yet beneath all the chaos, the moms were touched by his warmth. They said he feels like someone who tries his hardest not for himself, but for the people he loves. Someone who would help carry groceries while accidentally dropping half of them because he got excited telling a story. Someone who would cheer up the family dog even when the dog isn't sad. Someone who would call his mother every night to say, "I'm doing well." But ultimately, their reasoning settled into one line that every mom agreed on. He is wonderful, but exhausting. Not in a bad way, more like a golden retriever puppy that keeps bringing you shoes you didn't ask for. A delight, a blessing, a source of laughter, but also a source of very early bedtimes. And so, with love, laughter, and slight emotional fatigue, they placed him at number 6, not because he lacks anything, but because the moms themselves admitted, "We simply cannot keep up with this boy." Number 5. The fashion prince, but too stylish for everyday life. The debate for number 5 lasted longer than anyone expected, mostly because the moms got hilariously distracted trying to figure out how many outfits this member owns, how much they cost, and whether any human being truly needs that many jackets. The moment his name came up, one mom practically clutched her heart and said, "Oh, he's so handsome, but I'd have a heart attack every time he walks out the door because I'd worry he's overdressed for literally everything." And instantly, the others burst into laughter because, yes, this member has style levels that regular moms simply cannot comprehend. They began comparing him to their own sons who wear the same t-shirt 3 days in a row. And the contrast was so big, it felt like comparing a Michelin star chef to someone who burns instant ramen. One mom shook her head with this look of pride and disbelief mixed together, saying, "He dresses like every day is a red carpet event. What if he visits my house? He'll see me wearing pajamas from 2008. Another mom added, "I would feel pressured to dress up just to cook breakfast. I can't live like that." The moms talked about his visuals like they were reviewing a luxury brand campaign. "He looks like someone who was born with soft lighting following him everywhere," one mom commented. "Even when he's just sitting, he looks expensive." Then someone pointed out his voice, smooth, warm, and rich, the kind that could convince a stressed-out mom to forget she yelled at the neighbor's cat earlier. "If he were my son," a mom said dramatically, "I would proudly introduce him to everyone, even strangers, even people who didn't ask." But the conversation quickly took a comedic turn when they started imagining him as a son-in-law. One mom leaned forward and said, "If my daughter brings him home, I would panic. Do we have chairs fancy enough for him to sit on?" Another mom nodded vigorously. "Exactly. What if he thinks our furniture is too normal? I cannot live like that." The moms talked about his visuals like they were reviewing a luxury brand campaign. "He looks like someone who was born with soft lighting following him everywhere," one mom commented. "Even when he's just sitting, he looks expensive." Then someone pointed out his voice, smooth, warm, and rich, the kind that could convince a stressed-out mom to forget she yelled at the neighbor's cat earlier. "If he were my son," a mom said dramatically, "I would proudly introduce him to everyone, even strangers, even people who didn't ask." But the conversation quickly took a comedic turn when they started imagining him as a son-in-law. One mom leaned forward and said, "If my daughter brings him home, I would panic. Do we have chairs fancy enough for him to sit on?" Another mom nodded vigorously. "Exactly. What if he thinks our furniture is too normal? I cannot live with that pressure." They joked that he would walk into their house and somehow instantly make everything look outdated. The curtains, the tablecloth, even the refrigerator would suddenly feel insecure. And yet the admiration was strong. The moms loved how he takes care of his appearance, how he puts thought into his outfits, how he seems to glow, even in airport photos. But there was something deeper they appreciated, his sensitivity. They discussed how he carries himself with this gentle confidence, how he handles emotions with sincerity, and how he seems like the type to remember birthdays, anniversaries, and maybe even the date you last changed your kitchen sponge. "He's thoughtful," one mom said, tapping the table. "Really thoughtful. You can see it in everything he does, the way he speaks, the way he listens, the way he treats his members." But then another mom raised her hand like she was about to reveal a national secret. "But I'd worry," she said, "that he might give me a heart attack if he suddenly buys something too expensive." The entire room nodded in absolute solidarity. They imagined him casually showing up with a coat that costs more than their monthly groceries, and the moms collectively gasped as though it was happening in real time. Someone whispered, "I'd have to hide the receipt from my husband." They also discussed his sharp eye for beauty, art, photography, fashion, ambiance. "He's the type who would rearrange my living room," a mom joked, "and I would let him, but I would cry inside because he'd be right." And yet, for all the teasing, the moms admired his grace. They said he has the calm presence of someone who deeply understands people, someone who would treat their daughter with respect, someone who would be polite even when nervous. "He's elegant," one mom concluded, "but maybe too elegant for us simple moms." They even imagined him at a family dinner, everyone else eating normally, while he somehow looks like he's in a magazine photo shoot. Soft lighting, perfect posture, hair glowing. "I can't eat kimchi sloppily next to a man like that," one mom complained. "I'd choke." Ultimately, the moms placed him at number 5 for one simple and extremely mom-like reason.
He is too stylish, too perfect looking, too ethereal for their everyday comfort. He's wonderful, they said, but he would make us feel like background characters. So, with heavy admiration and mild insecurity, the moms crowned him the fashion prince of the ranking, beloved, respected, admired deeply, but placed safely at number 5 so they can keep breathing normally.
Number 4, the golden boy, but too good to be true. The discussion for number 4 was absolute chaos from the start because the moment this member's name was mentioned, the moms reacted like someone had just opened a treasure chest in the middle of the room. Gasps, loud omos, dramatic hand gestures, everything. One mom even stood up as if giving a speech at a graduation ceremony. Why? Because this member is the type who makes moms instantly suspicious in the funniest way possible. He's perfect, one mom said, narrowing her eyes. Too perfect. I don't trust it. And just like that, the debate turned into a full-blown investigation. They started listing every skill he has: singing, dancing, drawing, sports, cooking, leadership, charisma, endurance, patience, facial symmetry, until one mom sighed and said, "See, that's exactly why I'm nervous. How can one boy have all that? It's unnatural." Another mom chimed in, "My son can't even boil water without almost starting a fire, and this boy cooks like he's on a gourmet program? No, that's dangerous." And she said it with the exact same serious tone moms use when they warn their kids not to date someone too handsome. The moms described him as the type of person who makes everyone else look like they're not trying hard enough. "He's the kid who studies without making noise," one mom said, "and then gets a perfect score but pretends to be surprised." Another added, "He probably says, 'I didn't practice much,' right before performing perfectly." The moms praised his golden reputation: polite, hardworking, respectful, humble, gifted, responsible, and then laughed because this combination is suspicious to them. "I'd like him as a son," one mom said thoughtfully, "but I'd also constantly worry someone like him might one day wake up and decide to become the president." Then came the jokes. Oh, the jokes. One mom squinted dramatically and said, "If my daughter dated him, I'd check every week to make sure she's not turning into a perfectionist. He's the type to wake up early, clean the house, walk the dog, water the plants, finish a workout, and still ask, 'Do you need help with anything?' Meanwhile, the rest of us are just trying to find our socks." They imagined him at home, folding laundry with perfectly straight edges, organizing cupboards by color, sharpening pencils for no reason other than aesthetics. One mom started laughing so hard she had to wipe her eyes. "He would judge my kitchen," she cried. "He wouldn't mean to, but he would." Yet beneath the humor, the admiration was obvious. They talked about his discipline, how he always works harder than expected, how he pushes himself without complaining, how he tries to do everything with sincerity. "He has good manners," one mom said proudly, as if she had raised him herself. "He respects elders, he listens carefully, you can tell he was raised properly." But then another mom crossed her arms and said, "Yes, but imagine living with someone like that. I'd feel guilty every day." Suddenly they were imagining everyday scenarios. If he came home for dinner, he'd help set the table, compliment the food, thank everyone, then offer to wash the dishes, and do it flawlessly. "He'd wash each plate like it's a museum artifact," one mom joked. "I'd be embarrassed to show in my old dish sponge." And then there was the son-in-law test, which the moms take very seriously. They agreed he would be a dream come true, respectful, reliable, caring, but perhaps too dreamlike. "If he becomes my son-in-law," one mom said dramatically, "I'd have to upgrade my entire lifestyle. I'd need better cookware, better towels, better attitude." The moms concluded that he's the type of boy who shines so brightly that it's almost intimidating. Not in a negative way, more like standing next to a trophy and realizing you haven't achieved anything since 2003. "He's wonderful," they said in unison. "Truly wonderful." But then came the final verdict, delivered by a mom who had been quiet the whole time until she suddenly clapped her hands once, loudly, like a judge. "But he is too perfect," she declared, "and perfection is stressful."
And just like that, everyone nodded. That was the most mom logic reasoning imaginable. So they placed him at number 4, not because he lacks anything, but because he has everything, and moms simply do not trust that level of excellence in one human being. We love him, they agreed, but he makes us question our entire lives. And thus, the golden boy with the all-around brilliance landed squarely and hilariously at number 4.
Number 3. The charming gentleman, but too smooth to handle. The moment the moms moved on to number 3, the entire room shifted into a different kind of energy. Less chaotic comedy, more suspicious admiration. It was the vibe moms get when they see a guy who is too polite, too well-spoken, and too good at making eye contact. You know, the type who could thank you for scolding him and somehow make you feel flattered afterward. When this member's name entered the conversation, one mom immediately fanned herself with a stack of papers like she was about to faint in a drama scene. "Ah, this one," she said in a tone that hinted at both delight and fear. "He's dangerous. And not dangerous like criminal. Dangerous like, my daughter would instantly fall in love and forget she has responsibilities." That was the exact sentence another mom added, triggering a round of dramatic nodding. The moms agreed unanimously. This member has gentleman energy. Not the old-fashioned, stiff kind, but the modern, smooth, soft-voiced, eyebrow-raising kind that could make someone's mother blush accidentally. Immediately, they started evaluating him like experienced matchmakers. He looks trustworthy, but too handsome to trust fully. Another narrowed her eyes and said, "He smiles like he knows something you don't." And then, as if she had unlocked a secret memory, one mom added, "He reminds me of the boys who used to carry our school bags but then flirt with 5 girls at once. Very sweet, very suspicious." Cue laughter that lasted a full 30 seconds. But they weren't done, not even close. They broke down every detail of his gentleman aura, the way he speaks politely even when joking, the subtle confidence in his gestures, the charisma that radiates like Wi-Fi, strong even in the basement. "He has good home training," one mom commented proudly. "You can tell he listens to his elders, gives thoughtful answers, and never forgets to say thank you." Then another mom leaned forward. "Exactly. Too good. Too pleasant. If a man is this pleasant, something is going on." The room erupted again. Then they moved on to his looks. Oh, the looks. His facial features became a topic so detailed you'd think the moms were analyzing Renaissance art. "His skin, his eyes, his jawline," one mom cried, slamming her hand on the table. "If he came to my house, I would have to put on makeup just to serve him water." Another covered her face dramatically. "He would make me nervous. What if I accidentally dropped the side dishes? I would burn the kimchi stew. I know I would." But beyond the visuals, the moms truly loved his personality. They said he seemed supportive, comforting, mature, and emotionally steady. The type who listens without interrupting and remembers details you mentioned once 3 weeks ago. "He would make a great partner," one mom said, "the type who checks if you got home safely even at 3 a.m. "But that's the problem," another mom said, raising her hand like a teacher calling for silence. "My daughter would melt, completely melt." And that triggered the next wave of mom logic analysis. "He's too smooth, too composed, too good at connecting with people." "If my daughter married him," a mom declared, "she would never win an argument again. Not one. He would stay calm, and she would look like the dramatic one." Another nodded. "Yes, he's the type to say, 'I understand how you feel,' and mean it. How do you fight someone like that?" They then imagined him at family gatherings. One mom said, "All the aunties would love him. Too much. They would compare him to their own sons and make them feel bad." Another added, "My husband would feel insecure. He'd start going to the gym again at age 57. And then came the crucial point, the moment the moms collectively realized why he couldn't be higher than number 3. He's too perfect socially. Not like number 4, who's perfect in skills. This one is perfect in the heart. That is more dangerous. The room hummed with agreement, because while number 4 intimidated them with achievement, number 3 intimidated them with emotional power.
"My daughter would never recover if they broke up," one mom said dramatically. "This man could ruin future relationships just by existing." They imagined him sending polite text messages, remembering anniversaries, comforting with soft words, and smiling gently during serious conversations, and the moms panicked at how effective all that would be. In their minds, he wasn't just boyfriend material, he was raise your expectations too high for the rest of your life material. And that, according to the ancient laws of mom logic, was too risky. "He is wonderful," the moms concluded, "but dangerously charming. A gentleman with a smile that could start a drama series, a voice that could calm thunderstorms, and manners so perfect they should be illegal." And so, for the safety of all daughters everywhere, and for the emotional stability of every mom in the room, he was placed firmly, respectfully, and reluctantly at number 3.
Number 2. The reliable rock, but too responsible for his own good. When the moms moved on to number 2, something truly hilarious happened. The room went completely silent, not out of confusion or disagreement, but out of pure respect. It was the same silence that happens when a teacher walks in, or when someone's dad clears his throat before giving a speech nobody asked for, but everyone must listen to. One mom placed both hands on the table like she was about to deliver a sermon. "This one," she said with deep seriousness, "is husband material." And instantly the entire panel erupted into enthusiastic agreement. They didn't even debate it at first. It was like the moms had been waiting for this moment the whole time. They all started talking at once. "He's responsible, he's stable, he's dependable, he feels like the eldest son." The energy felt like an emergency family meeting where everyone suddenly starts praising the one cousin who remembered to bring umbrellas for the whole family during a storm. The moms saw him as the kind of man who wakes up early without being told, pays the bills on time, organizes the closet, and buys new light bulbs before the old ones even die. "He thinks ahead," one mom said in awe. "Do you know how rare that is? Even my husband doesn't think ahead." Another mom nodded fiercely. "He's the type who would remind you, don't forget your jacket, even if it's 30 degrees outside, just in case." They admired his sense of responsibility so much that it turned into comedy. One mom said, "He gives off the energy of someone who carries a first aid kit in his bag, and not a small one, the big one." Another added, "He probably knows how to fix household appliances too, the kind who sees a broken microwave and says, 'Give me 5 minutes.'" Then they got into his leadership, which moms love analyzing, because it reminds them of which of their children they can trust to watch the house without burning it down. "He keeps the group together," one mom declared proudly. "He's like the glue, the very neat, organized glue." Another mom chimed in, "When everyone is chaotic, he's the one who stays calm and just solves everything." "Responsibly," added another, "very responsibly." But here is where things got too real and too funny. The moms started imagining him as their son-in-law, and they realized something shocking. He might actually out-responsible them. One mom gasped, covering her mouth, "If he married into my family, I might have to become a better person." The room exploded in laughter. Another mom shook her head, saying, "Imagine he comes to visit and sees my living room clutter. He would start organizing it, politely, quietly, and I would feel deeply ashamed." Then they all spiraled into imagining everyday life with him. One mom pointed and said, "He's the type who puts the dishes in the sink and washes them immediately. No soaking, no, I'll do it later. Instant cleaning." Another added, "He would fold laundry perfectly, like a department store display." "I would never be able to relax," a mom said dramatically. "Every time he visits, I'd have to deep clean the whole house." Then they moved on to his personality. Steady, calm, warm-hearted, reliable in a way that somehow makes people feel safe, even during a minor earthquake. "He's the type to comfort you with a hand on your shoulder and a gentle voice," one mom said. "He wouldn't say anything dramatic, just the right words." Another mom added, "If there's a problem, he's the first one to step up, even if he's tired." But then they reached the very reason he couldn't be number 1. He is too responsible.
One mom raised a finger like she had found the key to the universe. "This boy carries the weight of the world," she said. "I want a son-in-law, not a superhero." Another mom nodded. "He needs rest, real rest. If he joined our family, he'd end up doing all the chores." And slowly, every mom realized the same thing. We don't want to add stress to him. They started listing concerns like they were analyzing a precious overworked jewel. He worries too much. He takes care of everyone but himself. He would never complain even if he's exhausted. He would stay late to solve problems he didn't create. He needs a vacation. One mom even said, "If my daughter dated him, I would tell her to take care of him." That feels backwards. And this is where the mom's maternal instincts kicked in stronger than anywhere else. They didn't just admire him, they felt protective of him. One mom said, "He's the type I want to feed a lot. I'd make him soup every day." Another added, "I'd tell him, 'Stop worrying, just eat and rest.'" The moms adored him. They respected him. They trusted him more than they trust their own husbands with car keys. But he was simply too serious, too hardworking, too emotionally mature, too dependable for them to put at number one. They said he's perfect, but he makes us worry. He works too hard. He carries too much. We want him to relax, not rank number one. So out of love, not criticism, they placed the reliable, responsible, endless, dependable rock of the group at number two. The mom's final words summed it up perfectly. He is everything a mother could wish for, but he needs someone to take care of him for once. Number one, the unexpected sweetheart. Because moms can read souls. The moment the moms reached number one, something absolutely magical and borderline comedic happened. They didn't argue. They didn't debate. They didn't raise hands, cross arms, squint suspiciously, or open old stories from 1997 as evidence. No. Instead, they all made the exact same noise at the same time. A loud, unanimous, deeply emotional "oh." The kind moms make when they see a baby, a puppy, or a boy who looks like he needs a warm meal and a hug. One mom even clutched her chest like she'd been struck by Cupid, but the mom version of Cupid, the one that shoots arrows dipped in maternal instinct instead of romance. They said his name like he was the protagonist of a family drama who returns home with good news after years abroad. The energy in the room shifted from analysis mode to pure affection, like the moms had collectively adopted him. "This boy," one mom began, pointing with the seriousness of a military commander, "is number one." And that was it. No discussion needed. The other moms nodded so dramatically you'd think they were filming a reaction GIF. But why him? Why did this member skyrocket past all the others in a ranking filled with perfection, talent, visuals, charisma, fashion, and sunshine chaos? The answer was simple. He feels like home. And oh boy, the moms broke this down in ways only moms can. First, they started with his smile. His smile, one mom said, is the type that tells you he won't judge you even if you ruin dinner and burn the pot. Another added, he smiles with his whole face, no tricks, no secrets. That's a good boy smile. Then came the eyes. Moms love analyzing eyes like they're reading fortunes. His eyes are soft, one mom declared. Kind eyes, safe eyes, eyes that say he will help carry groceries without being asked. They talked about how he looks like the type who would greet elders with both hands, bow properly, help clean up after meals, and ask politely, "Is there anything else I can do?" "He's the boy I'd trust alone in my house," a mom said. He wouldn't snoop. He'd just sit politely and drink tea. Another one jumped in, and he'd compliment the tea even if it tasted like hot water. The room howled with laughter because they all knew it was true. Then they got into his personality. The moms described him as gentle, warm, lovable, respectful, just mischievous enough to be funny, but not enough to cause trouble. He's the perfect balance, one mom said, waving her hands like she was mixing ingredients in the air. Good manners, good humor, good heart. And good face, another added quietly, triggering another wave of giggles. But the real clincher, the true reason he soared to #1, was that he feels emotionally approachable. With him, one mom said, I don't feel nervous. I feel comfortable. Another nodded. Yes, he's the type who makes you feel like family instantly. And then came the ultimate mom lens imagination sequence. What would he be like as a son-in-law? The moms went wild. I mean wild. My daughter would be happy, a mom declared, slamming the table with conviction. He looks like the kind who listens when she talks. Another mom jumped in dramatically. He would never raise his voice, even if she burned rice 3 times in a row. He would do the dishes, not sometimes, always. He would love our dog. He would eat everything we cook. He would help carry heavy things without being told. He would fix the Wi-Fi. At this point, they were basically designing the ideal man, and coincidentally, this BTS member was checking off every box like he had studied the official mom examination guidebook. Then came the sweetest moment. One mom sighed softly. He feels like the kind of boy you want to protect. And suddenly, every mom in the room nodded with full maternal authority, because that was the key. They didn't see him as intimidatingly perfect. They didn't see him as chaotic energy or unreachable elegance or dangerously charming smoothness. They saw him as warm, lovable, good-hearted, and most importantly, genuine. He has a natural kindness, one mom said. It's not an act, it's who he is. And another leaned in and added, and you can tell he loves his friends. A boy who loves his friends that much will love his family too. That line hit them all deep. Moms trust boys who treat their friends well. It's a universal rule. He's the safest choice, a mom concluded, but also the sweetest. And so the moms crowned him number 1, not because he was the flashiest or the most dramatic, but because he's the one they felt they could open the door to. Confident that he'd walk in respectfully, smile warmly, pet the dog, compliment the cooking, wash the dishes, and ask, "How was your day, ma'am?" with full sincerity. The unexpected sweetheart, the gentle soul, the mom-approved, family-certified, nationwide son-in-law material. Number 1, without a single doubt.